Finally, we have arrived at the last center in the body graph, which is the root center. The root center is the center presented by the square in the bottom of the body graph. And it's the center for adrenaline energy. And related to that energy are drive and ambition, pressure and stress. The root center, like the solar plexus and the will center, is variable in its energy when it's defined, meaning that it's not turned on all the time like the sacral center is. The root center is a motor center and is all about fueling energy to get things done and move you forward in life. But it operates in cycles of pulses, so it has a pulse that's either currently on or currently off. When the pulse is off or when the cycle is off and you're not getting that adrenaline surge to do something, you really have to push against your own level of energy, your own drive, your own motivation, and quality of dedication to push against your own adrenal impulse to get things done. When you have a defined root center, you're quite likely to feel impatient and have the urge to want to start something during these off times, just because the pause itself can be quite uncomfortable. But be aware here because you may push to start something which ends up being incorrect for you and waste your energy and time instead. So try and embrace the off time, for example, by resting or engaging in play. So once the energy turns back on, you will be ready. That said, with a defined root center, you do feel a more steady pulse to move ahead in the world. You are innately equipped to handle stress and pressure and have a consistent way of dealing with these forces. You also have sort of your own rhythm, meaning that you oftentimes have access to the fuel that drives energy to your throat center to initiate or to take action. The root center is a regulator for right timing or right divine timing, for example, in decision making or how and when to use your energy correctly. The pulse of the root center gives you a cue and a clue as to when that right timing is for you. But most people, could also be true for you, have a fairly consistent work week rhythm due to their job. For example, 8 to 4 or 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. And if the root pulse is not on for that particular work schedule, it doesn't matter, right? Because you still have to go to work. You can't really call in and say, hey boss, you know what? My root pressure is not really on today and I'm not feeling the pulse to come and work. So see you when it's back. No, right? How the world is currently set up, you have to work against your own inner alignment and inner timing. And that can be depleting and cause burnout, especially if you are not working with something that you truly love. And that's why it's important to get to know your energetic makeup, your energetic design, so you can best possibly align with your inherent energy and make the right decisions for yourself to operate as best possible in this world or in this reality. For the root energy to get to the throat center, the place where we can initiate action or take action, we see that the energy has to travel through either the spleen center on the left, the sacral center right above it, or the solar plexus center on the right. Through the spleen center, the root center gives the pulse for right action. Either do it now, wait for later and get more clarity, or don't do it. Through the sacral, it gives the cue for right timing for something to respond to, oftentimes either a yes or a no feeling in the moment. And through the solar plexus, it gives emotional alignment and influences whether you currently have the energy to take the next right step or not. Of course, these three centers also work in conjunction with the root the opposite way around to get that right timing. It's not a one-way street only. These connections with the neighboring centers can occur naturally within your own design, when you're around other people who gives you definition, or when the transits of the planets creates the connection within your chart. The root energy is an essential ingredient in manifestation, the energy to do, to survive, to feel, and to respond to life. It's driving our will to exist, to adapt, and to evolve. But people who are not manifesting what they want in their lives, for whatever reasons, can start to feel frustrated and want to override right divine timing. And instead, they start to push through their adrenal fatigue, which can be a fast track to burnout. So give yourself the space and time to listen to the answers from your body and trust that the universe will present you with opportunities that are more aligned for you if you dare to do so. When the root center is undefined, the energy within it is often perceived as pressure and felt and experienced as pressure within the body, and a place where we sometimes can hold stress. The pressure of the undefined root center is the pressure to get things done in order for you to be free of this pressure. That pressure can cause you to override strategy, and that pressure can cause you to override your authority. That pressure, when you experience it from somebody else who has a defined root, even if they're literally not putting any pressure on you at all, will also be experienced as pressure. Because people with an undefined root center are receiving and amplifying the defined root center's adrenal energy, meaning you are naturally absorbing, taking in, and amplifying this pressurized energy. You amplify other people's stress and their pressure to do and take action. So you're constantly feeling the pressure of wanting to get things done, and there's constantly something new that has to be achieved and accomplished. Lovely, right? Pressure and stress is a necessary and natural part of life, but too much of it can bring you out of balance. Learning to observe and notice when the stress is your own and when it's someone else's that you're amplifying can help you honor your own energy and help release pressure within your system. If you have this center undefined, you can suffer from trying to pressuring yourself to get things done more quickly than what is correct for you. And because of this, you can suffer from extreme stress problems resulting in adrenal imbalances, which potentially could lead to burnout for you. So don't overwhelm yourself with tasks, neither your own or someone else's. People with an undefined root have an important process of learning how to navigate the pressure because the pressure never goes away. But the way in which we interpret the pressure when this center is open is really important. If you have an open root center and you're constantly striving to fulfill some driver from the world around you, that could be a request from your boss, from your relationships, what you read in newspapers, and so on. You've got to understand that the pressure is not necessarily a pressure that you have to bend to. A lot of what you might be trying to do is actually not yours to do. You're just picking up all the energy of pressure to do from around you, and it becomes this generalized basket of things that just has to get done. It's your life and your body. Remember that in the process. A person with an open or undefined root center can also really enjoy this adrenaline energy they often feel to the degree where they can be almost adrenaline junkies and get into the habits of doing things that crank up their adrenals because they need that adrenaline pressure to feel connected to drive and to liveliness. My advice is to be conscious of which types of activities you decide to engage in by assessing your energy and to follow your strategy and your authority along the way. A few things to note down as well is that the undefined root center is not designed to work best under pressure. It usually just makes you feel like there isn't enough time, so you need to hurry more than you might already do. Have that in mind when you say yes to something in your life. One of the biggest lessons of this undefined center is discerning and recognizing the stress and urgency that you have amplified. So try and ask yourself, how you can create space between you and the discomfort of the pressure. How can you be discerning about what to act on versus what energy have you amplified from others? And how can you potentially release that pressure? Relaxing activities like time spent in good company, places and people where you can express yourself freely, time in nature, and connecting with the earth through barefooting or open water swimming or similar can help de stress and decompress from the energy built up in this center. The not self theme of the undefined root center is that it's always in a hurry to be free of the pressure. So try and ask yourself the following question: am I in a hurry to get things done so I can be free of pressure? Oftentimes, people with an undefined root center will not give themselves permission to stop and rest along the way until they think they've got everything done, because it's hard to rest when you're under pressure, regardless of if that pressure is perceived pressure or real pressure. The to-do list of somebody who has an open route is an ever-evolving list. It never gets done. It's always growing. So it's vital that you ask yourself, what's the worst thing that could happen if I don't do this right now? Majority of the time, I'm not saying all the time, but majority of the time, the answer is nothing. Nothing bad is going to happen if you don't do this or that right now. In fact, if you stop and rest, your capacity to do and your ability to maintain a healthy state of adrenaline function will greatly increase. So learn to do and put actions behind the things that show up correctly in your life, meaning following your strategy and following your authority. Don't just randomly pick up all the pressure around you so that you feel that you can never get out from under it. With an undefined root, you have the potential to become very wise about handling pressure as you learn to observe and understand the pressures of the world without necessarily getting caught up in them. My advice is to only take on the pressure that's really important to you. And if you start to feel too overwhelmed by that pressure, to ask yourself, what do I need to do or get done so that I can feel a greater sense of freedom?